Lee?
Thanks,
I'm
sir.
not going to get scripted very much.
You're good. No, thank you. Hey, thank you all for coming out this morning. One of the things I'm always so impressed by in culture is that we live in a free society, and so when people could be anywhere else, when they choose to be somewhere, we always appreciate that. So I appreciate all of you taking the time out to come and hear about Sugartree Ministries and what we do. Sugartree Ministries, we are located at 180 East Main Street, Wilmington, Ohio. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary last year. Al Willoughby, John Foster started that 25 years ago. If anybody doesn't know the history a little bit, I'll give you a little bit of history. Al was always involved in music. He was a barista, was a Jesus follower, Jesus follower. Al's still around. So is John Foster. But they started a venue, and mostly it was a game. It was a game place where kids could come, and they had bands and they had music. And after a while of being on the street and being present downtown, they started to notice some needs in the community, and they began to fill those needs. And so they started serving. They had a food truck, and then they started groceries, and it evolved into a full-fledged street outreach ministry. So we developed a new sign last year, and thanks to Dustin Pierce, he helped us out with that. But we wanted to get the message out there about what is the fundamental message, what is the fundamental element of what Sugartree does. And so we developed a slogan, and it is food, water, air, shelter, Jesus. And so that is the basics of what we do. And then I love getting to speak in public here today, because I know that some of what we do, some people online have deemed it controversial, and so I really love questions, and we'll get to that, but I really love when people ask the tough questions. I like answering tough questions, and I like the controversial questions because I get them often. But if you want to know the truth about what the ministry does, the reason our slogan is food, water, air, shelter, Jesus is we believe that every single person, we're a Christ-centered street ministry that serves the spiritual and physical needs of everybody that comes to us. And we believe that every single human being is God created, equally valuable, and redeemable. And so the Bible says Jesus died once and for all. All being every superlative word. And so I don't believe there's anybody we'll ever encounter that isn't worthy or deserving of basic needs, and that is food, water, air, shelter, and the gospel. And so what we do day to day on our weekly ministries look like this. We deliver groceries to countywide and sometimes beyond. We give out about 150 to 200 sets of groceries. We serve 7 hot meals a week. We do transportation to and from medical appointments, drug rehabilitation, mental health rehabilitation, with that. And we also partner with dozens of other agencies that we do the legwork for them. So if somebody wants to get in rehab, then we partner with Brightview, Talbot House, Solutions, Emerge, the Refuge, all these other places like that if somebody needs help, that we will transport them, we will help them get them clothes, items they need, things like that. So basically we like to fill in the gap for whatever is necessary for people to get better. We always say, what does it take to move somebody forward? So imagine you're in the worst part of your life, you fall into mental illness, drug addiction, poverty, whatever's with that. We're a street triage where people at their worst moment that are broken, busted, that need help, can come and get that help. They can find love and support and community there. And so the other things we do is we offer transit vouchers to people that, like mothers and children that need to get to school, that need help getting to the grocery store, that people need help with medical appointments. We also started a work initiative a couple years ago. Everybody's seen Sugartree Landscaping. We started a landscaping company a couple years ago where we only hire guys and gals that are coming through recovery, rehab, that are currently homeless, that need a hand up. We also started a work initiative with our coffee shop, where the baristas in our coffee shop are ladies who need help with raising children, bills, things like that. So we're going to open the public. We've been open to the public. We're starting a better initiative where the baristas can get all. We can't sell anything because we're a nonprofit, but all the tips go to the ladies. And we got a barista there that started training everybody. And so we're going to bring music back to the coffee shop. We're going to display local art. working on those kind of things. And so basically, just being a community hub and center for where the broken, the lost, and the hurting, come to find hope for another day and come to find healing and then to get better. And we do that through, once again, meeting basic needs and then partnering with other agencies to do that as well. We also have in-house social work. We've always had our 12-step meetings every week, but also we have a social worker for PATH, Alexis McKee. She's fantastic. She's in all the time. Michelle Ricketts from Brightview comes in. So also we decided that a long time ago that there were people. It's one of the crazy things I've ever seen in my entire life. There are people that have needs, but because of their pride or whatever, because of their shame, will not go to a building that, like a doctor's office or even a rehab facility with that. And the saying I've had in my mind a long time is that nobody cares what you know to them, but you care. The reality is that when they come to the soup kitchen and we bring experts and professionals to them, we've seen a lot more success of people getting help by people coming into community and then somebody meeting them as a person, as a human being, right where they are, and then getting them to a rehabilitation facility or an outpatient facility or even an inpatient facility. So we bring those folks in. We do just like Kate May does, but also Community Action. We have resource fairs where people can come in, all different agencies, come in and meet our folks there. And so we try to bring people to where they need help. We're not the experts in mental health, drug addiction, but we do partner with agencies. We can do the active work, though, help people move, help people get into their apartments, help people find, the experts and get resources. So we always call it building bridges. Building bridges where they need to go. Like we might be the access point to start, but we build a bridge to where they need to go and help them move forward. And so that's our basic mission. Is food, water, air, shelter, Jesus, and that's what we do. We have church service once a week, but obviously everybody that comes in the door. We also, one thing I think people don't realize about Sugartree Ministries, we are representative. We're just a blank space for people to do ministry, and so we also represent 30 plus organizations and churches. We have Amazon serves at our place, dozens of churches serve there. The idea is we have women's groups, kids groups, Hope House served there the other day, our sister ministry that has ladies and things like that. And we also run the men's shelter, by the way. We run the men's emergency shelter, and we partner with the Clinton County Homeless Shelter. So we work together. It's called a homeless coalition. We're part of that as well. But so we represent, there are 500 plus people that come into the ministry every month just to volunteer and serve. So we're a community organization. We are not a singular entity that just, I happen to be the director, but we are not we're not a one shot organization that runs everything. So
while you're on that, I understand they come from all over. I mean, some come all the way from Cincinnati up here to work.
Oh yeah. Sycamore Presbyterian comes. Yes, yeah. We have organizations from all over. From all over that come down to help. Yes, Sycamore Presbyterian is fantastic. We love them. Yeah. Yep, absolutely. But yeah, so once again, it's a community effort, and so we've always worked to create a space where people that need help, that people want to help can meet each other, and I think that's the secret of building community. Because I got interviewed by K-Love Radio a couple weeks ago, and that interview will be out nationally, which was awesome. I was happy to represent Wilmington and talk about how amazing the folks in Wilmington were, and the Clinton County, how much I love serving here in the community. But they had asked one last thing, what one thing you want to say, to close out this interview. And I said the secret, I believe, is that we have all grown so macro in our lives. We have Job Family Service, which I love, Community Action, which I love, and they're all great folks over that. But when you come at such a problem, that's such a nuanced individual issue as far as broken humans, and you try to treat it with large organizations, I think the secret to real change is individuals, communities, neighbors, encountering their hurting neighbors at a personal level. And like you said, Jesus said, "What have you done? At least these you've done unto me." But when you saw me hungry, when you saw me naked, when you saw me cold, what did you do? What have you done? At least these what you did to me. What you did not do, you did not do to me. But the reality is that we are a group of believers and brothers and sisters, and the idea is that we go out, and we just meet people where they are and try to help them move forward. And so I think that personal connection is what we do best, and that is we meet people where they are. We don't make them go into a building and do a million steps to get help. It's like they come into our house, which is God's house, and they say, I'm hungry, and we feed them. They get cold, we give them a blanket. The idea is that, the Bible says that, what does it do? What does it do if you say to somebody who's cold, hey, I pray for you to be warm? But the Bible says, and I think it was James said, give them a blanket. The idea is, what is the practical response to loving Jesus? And that is that, Jesus, the Bible says in 1 John 3:16, that, this is how we know what love is. Jesus laid down his life for us, so we got to lay down our life for others, and that is that we sacrifice as neighbors for other people so they can have and then give to them. So that is the fundamental of what we do. No matter what you've read, what you heard, our basic application is to take the love of Jesus and to hand out and give people things in a personal way and meet them where they are and help them move forward and help them heal. And I think that happens through meeting their basic needs. And I've always given the example of the feeding of the 5,000. Jesus was going to preach, and that's awesome to hear Jesus preach. But he knew that if they were hungry, starving, and they wasn't going to listen, right? We know that when people are treated well, when people are loved and they're fed and they are affirmed and they are given rest and that they get them out of the storm for a minute, they have a much better chance of healing their addiction, getting through their mental illness. They have a much better chance. So we try to meet their physical needs and then approach their spiritual needs. But I think you have to do both. I think you have to meet people where they are. I think you have to help them heal in a physical way, help them get out of the storm, out of the rain, out of the trauma. And people always talk about gateway drugs, which I love. And there's a lot of online fodder about gateway drugs and around that. And the reality is that we always say there's only one gateway drug. That's trauma. You know what I'm saying? Everybody in the world that's taking drugs and around that are typically trying to treat the pain of something else. You know what I'm saying? When you hear the stories of these folks that we encounter, a lot of them had businesses, they had jobs, they had families, they were very successful, and all of a sudden, somebody died, somebody hurt them, somebody harmed them in a capacity, or somebody abused them, or the idea is they all have history, but all of us have trauma in our past that causes us to respond, in a good or bad way. Sometimes trauma makes people try harder, but oftentimes trauma causes people to just lay down and quit. And so we see people from all varieties, all stories of that, but everybody has a story, and we believe that every single person we encounter is redeemable, because Jesus died once and for all, and his blood is enough to cover our sins. And so the idea is that we don't think there's anyone we can encounter that isn't redeemable and isn't worthy of those basic necessities. And so I think that's controversial for some. I think a lot of the controversy we face is there are people that believe that if somebody has failed life, or they've harmed another, or they've messed up, or that somehow they should be punished by not getting help. And to me, I've never seen anybody get better unless their needs were met, no matter what their circumstance or no matter what their situation. I've never seen anybody grow and heal and get better by being punished into it. And people always ask about the justice system. I believe in justice. We support law enforcement. We work with law enforcement all the time. But I believe in a redemptive justice. Says, we may incarcerate you, but we're going to try to help you heal. But a punitive justice, where you just put people in jail, they rot in prison cells, I just don't think that is an answer. Is it good to take dangerous people out of society? 100%. But the reality is, then once you get them into the jail system, what do you do with them? Do you help them grow? Do you help them heal? Do you help them get better? The reality is, where you just cage them up doesn't heal anybody. I've seen it over and over again where people just go to jail, and that's all they do is they come back, and they don't come back any better. But I've seen them get into But I've seen them get into systems like the STAR program, which Judge Ruddick and part of the U-turn docket, help them get into programming, help them get better. I've seen a lot of people when individuals take vested interest in individuals, and the community gathers around them, no matter how horrific their past, I have seen people get better. I've seen the miracle of full redemption and total transformation in people. I've seen it over and over again. And there will always be people that choose not to get better. There's nothing we can do about that, but the reality is I don't believe any of those people, even if they choose not to get better, at that juncture, deserve to be punished by sleeping out in the cold and not getting fed. I think that speaks more of our humanity, and less of their decisions. I think it's irrespective, and I think Martin King Jr. said it best. He said that, no one can make you hate another individual. You know what I'm saying? You have to choose that. So in our mission, we choose, you know what I'm saying? We choose to love others even if they don't treat us well. Jesus in the Beatitudes said that, you know, what kind of love is it if you love those that love you? But real love is loving those that hate you, those that persecute you, those try to harm you. If you can love those people, if you love those folks, that's the real measure of love. And so it's not about what people do to us. It's about the reflection of Christ in us and how we love them, regardless of how they treat us. And that is our mission. So I'll take questions all day long because I love questions. So what do you got?
In our world today, I'm sure everyone in this room will agree, it seems like there's more and more people that are without hope and they are in need. And I think that, in my opinion, you can read all the help books you want, or you can look at a video about, but the best way to help someone and to give them hope is a person, even give them a testimony and say, I went through this difficult time.
Amen.
You can do it.
Amen.
I'll give you hope. You know, there's hope.
Yep.
This is our steps. It's not easy. And you've got someone here that cares about you. And you understand what I'm saying? When I went, you don't know my story, but I had a heart attack in March of this year.
Yeah.
My wife has Alzheimer's. And we had to put her in a nursing home, and she fell and broke her hip. And the worst thing for me at that point was I was staying at home thinking about all my problems. I wasn't interacting with people. Right. I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't getting support. And you understand what I'm saying?
Well, I get it.
I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling helpless. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
And my daughter-in-law said, Dad, you got to get out and interact with people. That's the best thing for you. That's your best therapy. That's the best thing to get you out of this funk. And I think that's what you're doing. You're helping people, give them hope. Am I correct?
Yeah, I'm so happy that you said that. One of the best things that happens in the ministry all the time is there are people that come and they go, I'm going to serve people. And they have this great idea. But when they start serving people, they realize it heals them. You know what I'm saying? The reality is that they're out there trying to say, I'm going to help you. Right. But the reality is when they get out and they see other people, and they get inspired, and they see people heal and get better, all of a sudden they interact with people that had the same issue you had. And I always tell people is that if you ever want to interact with somebody, just ask them their story. I'm glad you started to say, like, how's life? How's this going? And people will talk, and when they tell you that, you realize that you either have a relative, you know somebody, you find somebody, when they inspire you by telling you what they've been through, what they've gone through, and how they've healed, it's truly inspiring. So I've seen more of my helpers, my volunteers, get better through serving than just the people they serve. So it works both ways. I would say this. I would say when God is in something, everybody wins. We live in a world where there's usually one winner, one loser, but the truth is when God's involved in something, everybody wins. So when you volunteer, typically that person gets healed, the other person gets healed. You know what I'm saying? It helps the whole community, everybody gets better. So when you trade one, you get two. Yep.
There was a small group in town anyhow that basically was spreading hate.
Yep.
How are you doing? How are you doing with these people?
So to be honest, and I'm glad you were honest with your story, I would say last year, the end of the year, I've been director of ministry about 5 years. One of my first meetings, somebody posted something online saying, like, hey, do you want to help the homeless in the community? I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I went to this meeting. Come to find out, this meeting was like kind of a red wedding situation. They all came and wanted to shut the ministry down, and they wanted to trap me in a room, which they did. And so the idea was that they said, we're going to shut you down. We're going to get rid of your ministry. We think you're the problem. You're the reason that everybody's, the whole culture is falling apart and everybody's dying and so that. So they said we would be closed in 3 months. Well, that didn't happen. And then they developed an online group, with hate about that. And what I've learned is I'll show you my phone. I have something on a prompt in my text every day that says, pray for those folks. We have to return hatred with kindness. And I've met with them. I've talked with them. They sat us down. We went to Veracruz and they recorded us in video, even though they didn't tell us they were doing it. Asked all kinds of questions, spread all kinds of. But the truth is that I really believe that they are hurting people that are kind of empty inside. And I think they're trying to find a reason to be heroes. But I think the problem is they're trying to create a problem that doesn't exist so they can be heroic. It's almost like Don Quixote and the windmills. The idea is I think they want to be heroic by trying to solve a problem that isn't real or is not as bad as they think. And so I have compassion on them, I have empathy, I really think that but me personally, I went through an episode of depression and anxiety early last year that was one of the hardest times of my life, and God saved me through that and redeemed me, and so I'm grateful, but I learned how to suffer, I learned how to persevere through suffering, and I learned that we have to begin to love our enemies as well, and so we try to do our best to do that. And I think there are folks they're misguided. I think they want to help, but I think they don't tell the truth. And that's why I've invited them a million times. Come to the ministry, come see what we're doing. That they won't come down. If anybody's ever seen me online where I try to answer their questions, I always respond by saying, "Here's my number. Here's the ministry. Come visit. I'll meet you anywhere. Let's get the truth out there. Let's talk about it." And Dustin's over there. We did a great podcast. Here's the good news about life, and here's what I think you guys are all good men here. The reality is that I don't expect everybody to agree with me. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that means we have to hate each other if we disagree. It just means we have a different solution. But we all want to love and serve people. I hope everybody wants the best for everyone. And I think if somebody has another better idea than mine, or they're motivated that way, I would cheer them on if they started something, if they wanted to do something to help, right? But the reality is that I feel like we're out here doing the thing, we're doing the work, and everybody wants to talk about the problem, but the reality is that they had a better answer. But I'm not mad at somebody because they disagree. I'm mad because they're not honest. They've been spreading all kinds of things that, hateful things that we don't do. And I'll give you some examples. I hear the question going, Sugartree Ministries has never bussed a single soul. We don't own a bus, but we've never bussed a single soul into town. But I can give you thousands of examples of people that have had family somewhere else or wanted to go to rehab in another place that we have sent them to Wyoming, Missouri, Texas, North Carolina. My Greyhound bill is a mile long. The idea is that we've sent more people out of town, but only because it was better for them to get help somewhere or they had family. First thing I ask anybody, if somebody's homeless, they come to us, first thing I say to them is I say, do you have a safe place you can land? The shelters are full. There's a lot of things going on. I was like, housing prices are outrageous. Rentals are nuts right now. I was like, if you have a place to go where somebody will take you in, I'll send you there. There was two ladies came to the library. They came here to live with somebody, and the situation didn't work out. They called me from the library. They had an uncle. This is a true story. They had an uncle that lived in Lebanon. And they found a place to live. A friend would take them in Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? I met them Saturday morning, gave them all the money and supplies they needed, gave it to their uncle, and got a receipt, of course. I don't do that with receipts. Sent them to Tennessee. So they're not homeless in Wilmington right now because we sent them to Tennessee. So the idea is that right now we send dozens of people out of town, but we've never brought anybody in. But I would only do that if I think what the situation is best for them and best for everybody else. So I don't just send people out to try to get rid of them. But I'm saying, but if there's a solution that says, hey, you could be better off somewhere else, like Emerge is up in Columbus. Emerge is Xenia. And then the Refuge is up in Columbus, TCC's down in Portsmouth. We send people to those places all the time because they're great ministries, they're great organizations. But I send them out of town all the time. So yeah, that's one of the lies people tell. The other thing is that we're trafficking people so that the first we get zero government dollars. We are 100% privately funded. Everybody that gives to the ministry knows what they're giving to. You know what I'm saying? We're a community organization, but we don't get we get zero government dollars. So one of the rumors going around is that for every homeless person we bring in, we get money. We don't get any money. It costs me money every time somebody comes to our place. It costs money for us to encourage. So we do. So this is the beautiful thing about God multiplies things, and I love the blessing of multiplication. The reality is when I say a touch. It's whenever we give them groceries, give them gas money, they stay a night with us or something like that, we help them with that. So our budget is about $350,000 a year, and we help about 85,000 individual cases a year. Now that's just giving somebody a bag of groceries, but the idea is we do about 85,000 individual interactions a year.
I've got a follow-up on my comment. Mm-hmm. After my daughter-in-law told me I need to get out and interact with people, I said, well, first place I'm going to go is my church. And so I went to church, and there was a man there, Ron Mansfield, was in my Sunday school class, and he came up to me one Sunday after I'd been there, and he said, you know what? He said, I lost my wife about a year ago, and he said, Ken, here's my phone number. I want you to call me whenever you feel like you need to talk to someone, or we can go out and get a cup of coffee. Bless his heart, when I called him, he was very willing to talk to me, and you don't know how much help that was.
Amen.
To know that someone that's going through something similar was willing to take his time and take, what I'm trying to say, to help me going through a difficult time. And it makes you really realize what's important in life. It's not how much money you make or you know, what your career is or your famous sports personality. It's not that. It's all about, at the end of the time, did you help people? Did you when you were with your family, were you in your church family? And you understand what I'm saying?
No, yeah, it's great you said that, because when you go to Matthew 25, people always say that in ministry, Matthew 25 basically asks the question, Jesus says, what did you do with what you were given? He was like, what, you were blessed with all this stuff, what did you do with it?
Right.
Did you help other people? Like, that's the question of life, is that, you know, I think Martin Luther King Jr. said, so the most pressing question in life is, what have you done for others?
Right.
Yeah, and so we need to have the budget too, and talk about that. The most beautiful thing in the entire world, though, is that we can run a ministry that lean, because the 9 or 10 guys or players that run the ministry every day, the guys right now running the ministry right now, are guys that came from homelessness, lived with us, are in recovery, and are now working for us. They run the ministry. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is that not only did they go through it, but now they're helping other people. But the idea is my whole staff are guys that live with us and work to, you know, for room and board. And we take care of everything else for them, by the way. We do the medical stuff. We do. But the idea is they just love giving back. They got lost in the shuffle, but now they've found a place where they belong.
Right.
They have purpose, they have a family. And so I take them out to lunch every week, and we do fellowship together. The idea is so everybody that serves with us, are guys and gals that have gone through the same things. What do you got?
What about the stories where that other communities, or I know you don't bus people in, but
I'll tell you the truth.
whether people bring people here because it's an oasis, because it's not offered in other communities, even law enforcement supposedly.
No, 1,000%. No,
rumors that you hear out there.
No, I can answer those. Those are the easy ones. So that's definitely true. But the reality is that if you think about the way that I grew up in Warren County, I grew up in Lebanon. Warren County is the second wealthiest county in the entire state. Clinton County is bottom 10. One in 5 people in Clinton County live below the poverty line. Gives it the idea. And so, but we also, in Wilmington, in Clinton County, we only have one city in the whole county. Whereas if you go next door to Warren County, there's nine cities, something like that. They all have their own resources. The reality is that if you live in a rural county, even though we only have 12,000 people in Wilmington, there's 45,000 people in the county. People from all over that don't have any services in the rural areas only have one city to go to. And Courthouse, that is true, Courthouse and Hillsborough don't have as robust, so they do have services, but they don't have nearly the services we have in Clinton County. So the biggest issue is if you live in a rural county and you live in there's one city, that's where everybody's going. So when New Vienna finds somebody homeless, Blanchester finds somebody homeless, they're bringing them to Wilmington. Once again, we're not inviting them, I'm not asking, but the reality is, yes, that Wilmington is where the services are. So those stories are true, but we're not asking them, we're not trying to get from them, but yes, it has Blanchester, it has New Vienna, Sabina. Do I get calls from churches all the time saying, hey, what do we do with this person? Absolutely, because we're the only, when I talked to a couple with the State House, and then I talked to a couple of congressmen, and we got to meet with a couple of lobbyists from Washington with that. I think Sugartree, we're one of the only, outreach ministries in a rural county, anywhere. It's very unique, but we also have the homeless shelter, which is the oldest or second oldest homeless shelter in rural Ohio. It might be number 1, but it was a long time ago. Hope House is here. So the reality is but here's the beauty of that. And I've always said, would you rather be, if you're in Clinton County, would you rather be known as a culture and a society and a community that doesn't want to help people, or would you rather be known as a place where broken people can get help? I mean, I think it's a great moniker to know that people in rural America can get help here. So I think that's a great badge of honor. And I talked to City Council a couple weeks ago, and I've said this a million times. I think the hallmark of a great community is how does it treat its most vulnerable citizens? And there are people that want to say, well, citizen, okay, you mean, well, let's break this down. If you live in Wilmington, You're a citizen of Wilmington. You know what I'm saying? If you live in Clinton County, you're a citizen of Clinton County. But if you're an American citizen, you're an American citizen. But even break down further, we're all children of God. So the idea is that there's nothing you're going to tell me as far as a parameter of somebody's location that's going to be like, well, I shouldn't help them. You know, the idea is no matter who comes to our door, but we're not inviting anybody, but do people come to our door? Absolutely.
And I understand that too, because I get that because we're the big city, and that's true like in all the metropolitan areas.
Yep,
everybody goes downtown, but I guess that's kind of addresses the room where I get a chance to enter too.
Sure.
That because of the resources here, the people are bringing people here from even farther away.
Right.
Like we're kind of getting rid of their problem. They're saying,
Yeah.
So how do you address
So,
that?
so the college, every year the college, and I speak to the social work class at the college, every year I get invited, Wendy, Rob, and other people, so that's just great. And the college students in the social work class do demographics for us. They come in and they do, we don't share those demographics because I think people who hate us will only use them to try to harm people. But the reality is that it's just not true. We don't have anybody from far flung. The only, like one of the guys that everybody likes to point out online is a guy named Sam. But Sam got a job with Hearthside. Hearthside's here in Wilmington. He lived in Dayton. Well, Hearthside had a program where they brought people back in and out to get work because they were looking for workers. Sam came to us not because somebody dropped off in another city to get rid of their problems. Sam came here for a job and then lost that job. But the reality is it was Hearthside, and I like Hearthside, I love them. But the idea is they came in to work and something went awry. Just like the couple the other day, a couple ladies with that, they came in. They thought they had it made. They thought they were going to live with somebody, and then it went south. We get all these stories about people dating online, and they'll come in to live with somebody, and the relationship goes awry, and they came from Indiana, and they came from, we get the fallout, but they're not coming here for Sugartree. And I don't know a single person that just came here for Sugartree, because if you look at like Dayton and Cincinnati, I can name a dozen other ministries that do something 24/7 for homeless folks. There's no reason you would leave, a bigger area to come here. It just doesn't. So the demographics don't work out either, because most people are from Clinton County, things like that. And if they are, they have stories where they came for another reason and things didn't work out.
I moved here from Indiana 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Yep.
And I hadn't lived here more than a year before I realized that one thing you notice about this town as a person doesn't look from somewhere else is that all the things that are available to help people that you don't have over there, at least where I live.
Sure.
Now, everybody knows the story of my granddaughter. She was on drugs, lived in this little town we lived in, 1,500 people, and no place to get help. Probably have to drive 100 miles to find somebody where she can get help. You can't do that.
Yep.
And so, well, the bottom line is it's just nice to live in a town you can get help.
I agree.
Nobody knows, all of you know the story, but the reason was on drugs was because at age 15 or age 12, her then father was molesting her.
Absolutely.
Every day, every week,
Yep.
until she was 15 years of age, and no wonder she got on drugs. I mean,
Yep.
the poor girl was a mess.
Yep.
And she was on addicted for up till age 26.
Yep.
Prayed for her. And they know the story, but you don't. Finally, you gotta keep praying. The Lord
Yep.
finally answered her
Amen.
prayers. She's been off drugs now for 3-4 years and just doing great.
Yep.
She's finally got help.
Yeah, the reason we don't give up on people ever is that we don't know. So the average person that's on drugs will go through 30 interventions before they begin to get better. So people are like, we'll give up. If they don't, I've had people tell me like, quit serving them after 3 months. With that, the reality is, one of my main guys who works for us went through U-turn docket, went through drug court, and that. He was a drug addict here in town for 30 years. And he is now working our landscaping crew. He helps run our men's house. He has been clean for years. The reality is we don't give up people because we believe that every single person has hope, and the reality is that they can be redeemed. So why would we ever give up on somebody when they could make it? We've seen the stories.
I have to admit, I almost gave up our one time. I thought, I can't do that. The Lord's going to answer. Just got to keep working with it. And my mind just went blank. I'll say something.
Yeah, it's okay. And so here's the other thing that I want people to know. When you talk about enabling people, we hear that word a lot. I always say enabling means people can get better. But the reality is, enabling somebody is giving them something that can harm themselves, right? The idea is you don't have like a little 3-year-old running around and you go, here's a kitchen knife. Right? The idea is, but we don't do any of that. Like I would never give money to a drug addict. We don't do, we do best practice. all they're getting is food, water, air, shelter, and the basics, transportation, communication. I buy cell phones for people that, have medical issues with that. We do that. But those are all basic, human rights. But the reality is they say enabling, what do you mean? They're enabling them to be alive for another day? So the reality is enabling somebody in a drug or a mental health situation would be if you handed them something that they could harm themselves with. And the reality is I would never give money. I would never give, items of value. We know how that goes. Like, we've been around drug addicts long enough, but we don't do any of that. I don't give anybody something that they could sell on the internet or something they could trade out. We don't do any of that. We're well aware, because all of my guys came from that. They're like, no, we can't do that. I've had guys tell me like, this guy doesn't, even guys on our landscaping crew, like, give him a gift card, but he can't, don't give him money. Like, the idea is we have those resources, but we always think about those things about what is best for the person, not just, but enabling means help people get better. Keeping them alive for another day to have more hope, like you said. But how many years? We hear these stories, testimonies of people that took decades to get better. Is their life worth it? I think so. And I always say this: if the ministry were around for 25 years and one person didn't die, we'd do it again. I think one soul is that valuable. I think the human life is intrinsically invaluable. So the reality is that if you're saying that what we do causes others, harm, I don't believe that, because I've seen too many lives change and transform, and I also don't think you can harm people by meeting their basic needs.
I want to tell everybody here too, if you ever have an opportunity to go to one of the graduation ceremonies,
U-turn,
even on the drug program, it's worth going to see all the people that are there to support them and how much it means to them. We need to see that. It's really
Are you talking
good.
about here, or are you talking about Tim Braddock?
I'm on the U-turn board. I'm actually part of the board member on the U-turn docket. But yes, the U-turn docket is talking about graduation. Yeah, we've actually hosted graduation there.
I was at the vigil, 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah.
And I stood between Tim and his wife.
Yeah.
Very close friends. And we need more people like Tim Braddock.
Love Tim Braddock. Yeah. Love Judge. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm on his board, so good.
You mentioned Sugartree Ministries serves 7 hot meals a week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that every day? Or?
Every day. Yep.
Most of us eat 3 meals a day. Do you know where they are able to get other meals?
So we have one official meal, but if you ever see our Lincoln Street door is like our emergency door, and so on Lincoln Street we have a door set with yellow steps. It's a doorbell
On the side.
inside. We give out food all the time. Little Caesars gives us pizza and that. We feed everybody all the time, but we only have one official meal. But anybody that ever needs food, they know. So anybody living on the streets can come up. And that's where one of the rumors came out that we were handing illicit stuff out the door. That is, but if you ring that doorbell, I got a doorman. So we're open 24/7. I've got a doorman there. The house is open at night, but the doorman there. We have somebody on staff all the time. If you ring the doorbell and you need to go to the bathroom, you need clothing, you need warm stuff, or you need food, we hand those out the door all the time. Yep, so anybody can get fed all the time. Yep, nobody goes hungry. And here's the other beauty. If you want to think about how amazing our country is, if you think about this, we're 100% privately funded. So everybody that donates gives money that they have, discretionary income. But the majority of food that we serve is leftovers that nobody wanted. We get food from Kroger, we get day-old bread from Kroger, we get meat that doesn't sell, we get from Odd Lots, Amazon. Like all the stuff we give away, people donate. Everything we give, people out of their pantries, they clear out the pantries. Everybody lives and subsists on what people didn't want. So we're not feeding people on like retail food. I'm not going out and saying, here, I'm buying retail food right now, and we're feeding hundreds of people. We're feeding hundreds of people on food that you and I, all of us didn't eat or didn't want or didn't buy, which is a miracle. I mean, to think about that we feed hundreds of people on stuff that nobody wanted. You have a question back?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the budget a little bit, the $350,000. So none of it comes from any government source. You made that clear. Does some of it come from? You get large donations from corporations, or
we have some local. We have some local friends that do large donations yearly. Local companies, but really, and I tell the story all the time. It's one of the most beautiful things I get to do. When somebody is ungrateful in some capacity. And I have this whole speech that I give them, but we have a little old lady in Blanchester that gives out of her retirement. She sends $20 a month. It's beautiful. We have hundreds of people that send $10, $20 a month. That's a lot. Most of our foundation, our ministry, is individuals give a little bit of money. And I handed 2 trans passes to somebody one day to go to rehab. And they were like incredulous. They were like, oh, you know, I don't want to take chances with that. And I was like, this is $4. I was like, I didn't buy these. Is that the Lord put it into my heart to donate. There's a little lady in Blanchester that wants to see you get better. And she gave this $4. And it just hit them like a ton of bricks. Because they think we're dispensing something where like a large corporation just hands money down. And I'm like, this money, these tickets I'm giving you are from a little old lady who has no extra income. But because she has Jesus in her heart and loves you and wants to see you get better, gave this money so I can give it to you. I'm just the pastor. I'm just the conduit. You know what I'm saying? Which I get to do. I get to bless people. I always tell people, you know, people say I have to go to work. I get to go to work. You know, I get to. But when they realized that money came from somebody that didn't, it came from a little old lady in Blanchester, they went, oh wow, that changes, you know, how I view that. You know what I'm saying? So the idea is every single thing that they are given, we always remind them to be grateful because it comes from, you know, God's hand to us, but it's usually inspired, you know, by somebody who wants to give. So yeah, our giving, we do have some large donors, but mostly it's about 300 individuals, families that give a little bit of money every month. And churches, we have some churches that do pay a little bit of money into the
What you just said made me think of something I've thought about a lot, and that is that we think about, well, I'm a pretty good person. I'm going to sin once in a while, but I try not to commit sins. But most of us, our sinning comes from what we omission. What we fail to do.
Yeah.
We could help that person, but we
Sure.
We just pass them by.
Yep.
And simple things like that, just giving $5 a month or something like that, that's helping people out.
Yep.
And that's a way you can do it.
Yeah, and God multiplies it because our labor, you know, our guys work for, you know, because they love doing it. You know, like all our volunteers, so we don't have a labor force that we're not paying high wages. I'm the third highest paid person in my organization. I pay 2 other guys more than me. So the idea is that I work another job. I just came from the gym. You know, I work at a gym too. And the reality is that we get to do this, but yeah, we do it because we know that if we volunteering and giving for freely is really what grows a ministry, not tapping it dry by spending a lot of money. But we like to do, we volunteer, so just a little bit, you know. And the other thing is like the lady that gave 2 mites. You know, biblically she gave all that she had. She wasn't rich, and so that's a blessing when you give, even out of your poverty, you begin to give to help other people, and I think that's a beautiful thing.
These guys try to hear me talk, but you don't know the story, and I'll just say it real quick. Mm-hmm. I went through what you went through. My son died, and I was depressed and ready to end it all.
Yep.
And what changed my life was when I talked to the Lord, and He said, help other people. And I don't have a lot of energy, and I'm pretty much crippled up. Can't do a whole lot, but I can sit in my computer and make these programs for people to watch and so forth, for the youth, for the schools. Anyway, and it just changed my whole life when I started helping other people.
Yep.
It just took me out of that depression. Now I enjoy every day. I look forward to getting up and doing those things to help other people.
Well, you know, the Bible says that, you know, if you know the good you ought to do not do it. You said you're talking about that, but the other thing about what you're saying is that Mother Teresa said it. It's one of the quotes that I love. I think about every day. Is that really ministry is doing small acts of kindness with great love. You know what I'm saying? Like little acts of every day. Because whenever I was a youth pastor for a long time, and I asked my kids the question all the time. I was like, how many big events do you have in life? Get married, have kids, buy a house. You know, there's only 3 or 4 or 5 giant events in your life. But there's millions of everyday interactions. If you want to lead a full life, you know, do those small, but live those small acts of kindness every day in every interaction. And somebody else said this one time as a pastor, I forget which one, but said that it's something I live by too, and that is that every encounter you have, whether you walk by somebody and smile or not, everybody you encounter is a relationship. And what did you do with that relationship? Did you smile? Did you wave? Did you open a door? You know what I'm saying? Were you kind in everything you did? And if you do that, you have the opportunity to do millions of small acts of kindness in your lifetime, not just focus on the big events. Any other questions? What do you got?
Really pleased with the landscaping service.
Yep.
And I understand they do a lot. Is that right? And does everybody know about this?
Here's the beautiful thing about the landscaping company is that I have a client that I train at another gym, and he owns the largest landscaping company in the entire tri-state area. Great guy, Mike Rory, fantastic guy. And I went to him one day and I said, you know, people come to me all the time and say, like, you know, homeless people, get a job. And I was like, listen, I'm willing to do this, but I saw a whole bunch of guys that started landscaping companies when they were younger, and they all were successful. And I was like, let's give it a run. So our first year, like every business, we took a bath our first year, and but Mike helped us set up. Mike helped me set up the company with that. Second year, held our own, and because we're a nonprofit, in the third year, the guys have actually donated like $20,000 back to the ministry this year to help people get food, clothing, because 100% of their money goes back into the ministry because we're a nonprofit. So yes, they are killing it. Our guys are beloved by the community. We're booked out next year. We're already booked out. We're looking to maybe start another crew. So yeah, they've been a blessing because we also do other things. So if you are a veteran or if you're disabled, my guys both are free. If the community comes in, and we only take donations, we can't do retail work because we're a nonprofit. So it's a ministry. It's not a landscaping service per se. We're a ministry. So the idea is that we do disabled veterans, we do all that, we do the elderly, but also if the city calls us and somebody's at risk of getting fined or penalized because they can't mow their yard, we go do all that work for free. Ann's a good friend of ours, she'll call us. So my guys also in the landscaping company give back to the community and donate free landscaping every year. On top of that, they help people move. They do all kinds of, there's an elderly man out of Green Meadows right now that can't move himself to Middletown. My guys are gonna move him this week. We move two disabled, two mentally handicapped ladies, help them move this week. So my crew works year round on other things as well. And so, but they donate way more time, but also they work. And so our money for the landscaping company comes from the fact that people that do have means love what we do and they want to see people get hired, so they donate. We don't set a retail cost. We don't set a price. People just donate what they feel like the work is worth.
But these guys are paid though, right?
We pay them, yes.
Yeah.
The ministry pays them. Yep. But they don't we pay more than minimum, but these guys also have room. Everybody lives with us, they get room and board. So it all works out for everybody in the end.
Yeah. When you talk about the ringing the bell at night for this or that, can they come in to sleep and get out of the cold? Or
We run the men's shelter, yes.
Oh, the men's
Yeah. And so we work with, Katie and I, and then Denise and I from the home shelter. So I can say this, we have the homeless coalition. We've always been friends. If you see somebody sleeping on the streets of Wilmington, ever, they don't have to. There's not a single person, unless they choose to, which people do. Like you hear about the campgrounds, I don't help people camp. I don't give out tents. We've never done that. If you're trespassing, I'm not with you. I tell people all the time, if you break the law, subject to the law, I don't help people break the law. So if you hear about campgrounds and that, we don't do any of that. But the reality is that anybody wants to sleep outside, it's because they choose to, not because we have plenty of space for everybody to sleep at night. And what I do is two things. One, we run the men's shelter, Katie runs the women's shelter, and then the families and other people can go to the Clinton County Homeless Shelter. But the other thing I do is that in emergency situations, I will pay for hotels. I got a room, I got a deal with the Wilmington Inn. They give us a pretty good discount. So if somebody absolutely has, like a family has no other place to go at night, because at night I can't take a family, because the home shelter, is usually full with that. But we'll put them in a hotel, and then I'll give them a gas money, or I'll transport them to, like, St. Vincent, Hope House in Middletown, or Salvation Army. So, but no one has to sleep outside. No one's ever slept outside on my watch. Yep. Everybody, any other questions real quick? Everybody got anything else? Great. Good. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.